Okay, bonjour tout le monde. This is your video for your imperative introduction notes. So the very first page of your packet that I gave you last time we were together. So let's start with a prayer. Au nom du Père et du Fils et du Saint-Esprit. Seigneur, nous te rendons grâce pour tous tes bienfaits. Toi qui vis et règnes pour les siècles des siècles. Gardez nos âmes dans la paix. Amen. Au nom du Père et du Fils et du Saint-Esprit. Amen. Okay, so we're not really going to do échauffement, but I wanted to show you this one because you do already know some commands in French. So we learned them at the very beginning of level 1 when we learned how to say asseyez-vous, levez-vous, levez la main. These are all commands. So we're just going to learn how to form that mood or tense on its own. Okay, so I know I keep calling it a tense, but really it's known as a mood. The difference, I don't really know. Maybe a mood is not as complicated as a tense because it's really not. But it's called the imperative, so that's what the mood is called when we're giving someone a command. So this is the very first page on your notes, like I said, so you can fill it out and I'll explain. And this is just a funny personal example that I saw when I was living in France. So this is City Hall. Whoops. This is City Hall, the city that I lived in, and the farmers were having a kind of protest because they wanted it to be put into law that local restaurants and grocery stores had to use their food that they were growing on their farms, which were right outside the city. And so, in order to get the government's attention for this, which they did let the government know, a bunch of them came with their dump trunks, probably like 6 or 7 dump trunks full of manure, and they dumped the manure in front of City Hall, and they put this sign on it, which is in the imperative, servez-vous, which means serve yourself. So that's kind of a funny example that I saw when I was living there. Okay, so beginning our notes. Today we're going to learn how to give commands or instructions using the imperative formation. So I keep calling it commands, but it's not only commands. This is the tense you use when we're giving instructions. I use this tense a lot to you guys because I'm giving you instructions in class. When you're giving a recipe or when you're reading a recipe, when you are giving someone directions, this is the same tense. You often use or see the imperative in directions, recipes, and signs. So some examples are turn left, go to the store, let's be quiet, so you can be included in the command as well. Notice there's not a person starting the sentence. That's because the person you're talking to is implied. So when we're giving someone a command, asking someone to do something for us, usually they know who we're talking to. And when you're reading a recipe, you know that you're just directing who's ever reading. So there's not a personal pronoun beginning these sentences. Just like in English, we don't have a pronoun to begin these sentences, even though the verbs are conjugated. So how to know how to conjugate the verb depends on who you're giving the command to. On utilise l'impératif avec trois pronoms. So if you're giving a command to a friend or someone you know well, you conjugate it like you're using the pronoun tu, but you're not actually going to have the pronoun in the sentence. If you're giving a group of people or someone formally a command, you're going to conjugate the verb in the vous form. And if you're included in the command, so let's eat or let's go to bed, you're going to conjugate it like nous. To form the imperative, you use the present tense and drop the person. So we've been practicing the past tense, but we're going to get out of the past tense for a second, come back to the present. So you use the present tense conjugation, drop the personal pronoun. So some examples. If you're telling someone to finish something, you're going to say you're telling your friend to finish their homework so you can hang out. Fini. You're not going to say tu fini, you're just going to say fini, but it's conjugated like tu because you're telling your friend. If you're telling multiple friends to finish their homework, you're going to say finissez. And if you all need to finish your homework, you're going to say finissons. Okay, but the personal pronoun is not there because it's implied who you're talking to already. Some more examples to respond. Répondre if you're talking to someone informally. Répondez if you're talking to a group or someone formal. Répondons if you're included in the command. You all need to respond to something. So, of course, there is an exception to the conjugations. So look at écouter. This is an ER verb. Notice that finir was an IR verb, répondre was an RE verb. ER verbs are a little bit weird. So when we conjugate them in the to form, you drop the S. So usually écoute conjugated with to is ES at the end. But in commands, you drop the S. So notice we had the S here, we had the S here, we don't have it with the ER verb. And then écouter, écoutons, these are the same. Non-changing irregular verbs. So for most irregular verbs, you follow the same conjugation. This is the present tense conjugation of faire. Fais une pizza, make a pizza. Faites une promenade, take a walk. Faisons un match, let's play a game or let's do a game. Allez, va is go. Allez, this is why I say this all to you. Allez, go. Allons-y, let's go. E is a pronoun that we haven't learned yet. It just means there. So essentially you're saying, let's go there. You don't have to have the E. Allons is fine. But allons-y is the most common when you're saying, like, let's go somewhere. And if you're a Doctor Who fan, he says that a lot. I do not watch Doctor Who, but thought I'd put that reference in there for those of you that do. Reviens. So revenir, remember, means come back. So reviens, come back, you're telling one person. Revenez, multiple people or someone formal. And revenons, let's come back. So a few irregular verbs have completely different spelling, of course. The irregular ones are avoir and être. So this conjugation, the sois, soyez, soyons, is the subjunctive tense. And I'm not going to go into the subjunctive too much because it's very difficult and we don't have a subjunctive tense in English. Spanish does, but English does not. So you're going to learn that tense in French 4. But the subjunctive is another mood because you conjugate a verb in a subjunctive when you don't know if it's actually going to happen. So sois sympa, be nice. When you tell someone to be nice, you don't know if they're actually going to do it. It's just an idea that you have. And so that's why it's a subjunctive. Soyons sympa, soyez sympa. Soyez, soyons, désolé. So être and avoir, a little bit weird, of course, as always. And here's some avoir. Ayez de la patience. Have patience. If you tell someone to be patient, 9 times out of 10, that probably will make them more anxious or more impatient. So it's in the subjunctive because we don't know if they're actually going to take our advice or our command. Ayez de la patience and ayons de la patience. So right now, the subjunctive, you just need to remember avoir and être of these 3 conjugations. So the negative form. In the negative, you still make a negative verb sandwich with a ne and the pas as bread and the verb as the meat. Okay, so this one's really easy. You just conjugate the verb and put the ne pas around it. Ne perdons pas, let's not lose. Ne parle pas, don't talk. And remember that's to, even though it doesn't have the S because it's an ER verb. Ne dansez pas, don't dance. Okay, and then you have some pratique rapide, so quick practice. Don't sleep in class, don't watch scary movies, don't eat 5 pieces of cake. So I'll just start a new slide and finish those, or write those for you, because I did not plan that ahead. Okay, so don't sleep in class. and it doesn't say who we're talking about, so I'm going to say it's a general rule that I'm going to tell you all not to sleep in class. So, ne dormez pas en classe. Don't watch scary movies. Ne regardez pas les films d'horreur. Don't eat 5 pieces of cake. Ne mangez pas 5 morceaux du gâteau. Excuse my lack of accents. Okay, let me look and see if there's anything else on the PowerPoint. We might do some speaking practice. Maybe next week. We practiced with Flipgrid in French 1, which was really fun. Where I spoke a question and everybody spoke a response back. I will update you if we're going to do that this week, but we'll most likely practice it next week. So this completes your first page of notes, and you have the worksheet to do, due on, I believe I said, Tuesday evening. Until next time, au revoir!